You exist, but barely registers. Your name is on a lease, a payroll system, a dentist's recall list. That's about it. You're 31. You have a job that pays enough to cover the essentials and not much else. You show up, you do the work, you go home. At lunch you eat at your desk because eating in the break room means small talk with people who won't remember your name by Friday. You're not struggling. That's the strange part. Nothing is wrong. The bills get paid, usually on time. The fridge has food in it. Your car starts most mornings. By any honest accounting, you're doing fine. But you've noticed something. In meetings, when you speak, people nod politely and then the conversation moves on like you said nothing at all. 20 minutes later someone else says almost the same thing, and suddenly everyone's leaning in. You post a photo from a weekend trip. 6 likes. 2 are from your aunt. You go to the same bakery every Saturday. The same person works the counter every Saturday. They've never once recognized you. This isn't a tragedy. You know that. Most people, for most of history, have lived exactly here, unseen, unremarkable, fine. There's something almost peaceful about it, if you let yourself feel that instead of the other thing. Some nights you do feel the peace. Other nights you stand at your window and do the math on how long it would take anyone to notice if you vanished. Work, probably, eventually. A missed shift, an unanswered email, someone finally walking over to your desk. A few days. Maybe a week before anyone really asked. The world keeps moving regardless. That's not cruelty. That's just what this level is. Somewhere around 33, something in you gets tired of being soft at everything. You don't choose dramatically. You just pick one thing, your job, a hobby, a skill you'd always been pretty good at, and decide pretty good isn't the ceiling anymore. There's no turning point you could point to in a movie trailer. Just hours. Boring ones. You read the manuals nobody reads. You watch the tutorials at midnight. You mess things up in front of people and then quietly fix the mistake in private so it never happens twice. About 18 months in, the room starts to shift. Not strangers, coworkers first. Someone forwards you a question instead of asking the manager. Your manager starts bringing you into calls. Just to weigh in. A client thanks you by name in an email, and your manager reads that email twice. You join a Tuesday night pickup league because a friend dragged you. By month 4, newer players are asking you for tips between games. You give them. The tips work. They come back the next week and ask for more. Something about that feels different from anything before. Different from being liked, different from being included. This is being needed, even if only by 3 guys on a basketball court who don't know your last name either. You start to notice that this, being good, specifically, narrowly, provably good at one thing, is rarer than it should be. Most people stay generalists their whole lives. Replaceable by definition. You can feel yourself sliding out of that category, one small request at a time. Nothing about your life has changed on paper. Same apartment. Same bank balance. But when you talk now, in certain rooms, people actually stop and listen. You like it more than you expected to. You also notice, faintly, that you're already organizing your week around protecting it. Being good at something has a ceiling, and you hit it around 36. You're as sharp as solo effort is going to make you. The next jump doesn't come from more practice. It comes from people. It happens almost by accident. An old coworker texts you out of nowhere, "Coffee this week?" You almost cancel. You're tired, it's a Wednesday, you have nothing to gain from it that you can see. You go anyway. She mentions her company's expanding. Mentions a role. Mentions, casually, that she could put your name in front of the hiring manager directly, not as a referral link, but as an actual conversation, the kind where someone vouches for you with their own reputation. 3 weeks later you have a new title and a number on your offer letter that's hard to say out loud without smiling. You didn't apply for that job. Not really. You had coffee. That's when it clicks. The real economy isn't the one with job boards and applications. It's the one with names attached to other names. You start treating invitations differently. The dinners that used to feel like obligations now feel like doors you hadn't noticed were doors. Some go nowhere. Most go nowhere, actually. But the ones that don't just open a little. They open onto entirely different floors of the building. You get invited onto a podcast as a guest because someone mentioned your name to someone else. The episode does numbers you didn't expect. Messages start arriving from people you've never met, all using the same vague, friendly opening line. Loved your take, would love to connect. A competitor reaches out with an offer you didn't ask for. You don't take it. You use it anyway, quietly, to renegotiate where you already are. You start getting invited to things. Rooftop things. Industry dinner things, where everyone's outfit is just slightly nicer than the occasion requires. You're not important yet. But you're in the room now. And the room, it turns out, is where everything actually gets decided. By your early 40s you have a title that does work on its own, independent of you. Director. Head of. Senior something. The exact word barely matters. What matters is the half-second pause when you hand someone your card and their eyes drop to that line. Something recalibrates behind their eyes. You've been refiled. Respect doesn't show up in a bank statement. It shows up everywhere else. A host remembers your name at a restaurant you've been to twice. An email to someone 3 levels removed gets a reply within the hour, not because of what you wrote, but because of who forwarded it. You're on a first-name basis now with people whose names you used to see in headlines. A few have had you to their homes. Their homes are quieter than you pictured. The people in them are tired in a way that reminds you, uncomfortably, of your own parents at the end of a long week. You're now someone whose offhand mention of a name in a meeting can change a stranger's month. You try to be careful with that. You remember what it was like at 31, hoping someone, anyone, with any pull would notice you existed. But you can't answer everything. The messages multiply faster than you can read them, let alone reply. Slowly, without deciding to, you develop a filter. Some messages get answered same day. Some sit. Some sit forever. You realize, with a small jolt, that not responding has become a form of power you didn't have before. You used to answer everything within the hour, out of fear that this might be the one chance. The people whose messages now sit unanswered in your inbox are, in every meaningful way, you 5 or 6 years ago. You think about that sometimes. You're not sure what to do with the thought, so mostly you just keep moving, because the calendar doesn't pause for reflection. Sometime in your 40s, the direction of the relationship flips. You stop being someone the system does things for, and start being someone it does things through. You're asked to sit on a board? Then another. Not for the salary, some of them don't pay one, but for the access, and because saying yes is itself a kind of currency. You're invited to speak at the kind of conference where you used to sit in row 12, taking notes on your phone. Now they fly you in. Put you in a hotel with a view that costs more per night than your first month's rent ever did. You give the talk, a version of one you've basically been giving for years, shake hands for an hour afterward, eat the dinner, and you're on a plane home by morning. The strange part isn't the talk. It's watching people in the audience take notes on you. Pens moving. Phones angled up. Your words, the ones you said almost on autopilot, are going to end up in someone's strategy deck next quarter. Journalists start calling for comment. Eventually you have someone whose job is to filter which calls you take. You take maybe a third. It's intoxicating for a while. Then it becomes routine. Then, and this part surprises you, it becomes a low, constant hum of exposure that never fully turns off. You say something offhand at a dinner. 6 weeks later it's a quote on a website, flattened, stripped of the joke that made it work, attributed to you like you meant it that way. You notice you've started talking differently in public. A slightly flatter version of yourself. More consistent. Less likely to say the thing that could be misread. The private version of you watches the public one operate and keeps a careful, deliberate distance from it, the way you'd watch someone wearing your coat. You used to think people at this level seemed a little cold in person. Now you understand. It's not coldness. It's the only way to keep something of yourself that the role can't reach. Nobody can point to the day you got rich. There wasn't one. There were 100 small things, compounding for 2 decades, equity that finally vested, a thing you built getting acquired, speaking fees that quietly grew from nice bonus into larger than your salary. You find out the way most people apparently do. An accountant says a number out loud on an ordinary Tuesday, and you realize you crossed the line sometime in the last year or two without noticing it happen. The shift isn't immediate. For a long time you still check prices out of habit. Then one day you don't, and you can't remember exactly when that stopped. You find out there are rooms inside airports you never knew existed, behind unmarked doors, with food that's actually good and nobody asking to see your boarding pass twice. You're embarrassed by how much that impresses you. The embarrassment fades faster than you'd like to admit. You move into a house with rooms you don't use. You hire people, someone to clean, someone to manage your calendar, someone whose entire job is remembering other people's birthdays on your behalf. For the first year you overtip everyone and apologize for asking people to do the jobs they're paid to do. Then you stop apologizing. That's how you know something in you has actually changed, not just your bank balance. Your old friendships start to bend under the new math. Someone can't do the restaurant you suggested. Someone gets weird about a trip you're covering. You try to adjust. You offer to pay for things, casually, the way it's casual for you now. Some people take it fine. Some take it like an insult. The friendships that survive are, almost without exception, with people who either made the same jump or never needed to, because they started above the line. You go home for a holiday. Your parents glance at the rental car in the driveway and say nothing. You sit at the same kitchen table you sat at when you were 12. Your father asks about your work the way he asks about anything he doesn't quite follow, carefully, politely. You answer the same way. You love them. They love you. There's a small gap between you now that nobody's going to name out loud, and you drive back to the airport Sunday night, renting a car instead of borrowing theirs, staying in a hotel instead of your old room. Easier for everyone, you tell yourself. You tell yourself that every time. Late 40s. This is the one nobody warns you about, because from the outside it looks like the finish line. Money was comfort. This is something else. This is the point where things happen, real things, in other people's lives, because of decisions that pass through you. You're named to something. Appointed, elected, made the head of an organization that touches tens of thousands of lives you'll never personally see. Your calendar stops being yours somewhere around here. A team manages it. Your days arrive pre-sliced into 15-minute blocks, each one pre-briefed, each one already half-decided before you walk in. You almost never have more than 20 unscheduled minutes between sunrise and dinner. None of the individual decisions feel large in the moment. You sign off on a budget. You approve one plan over another. You say yes here, no there. Small things, all day, every day. But they accumulate. Somewhere, in a city you've never set foot in, someone loses their job because of a line item you initialed without a second thought. Somewhere else, someone gets hired because of a different line, and their kid ends up at a better school because of it. You'll never meet either of them. They'll never know your name. But the thread runs from your signature to their life, and it's real. You used to feel guilty about that. The guilt hasn't gone away exactly. It's changed shape into something closer to a low, permanent weight. You've realized that opting out doesn't make the decisions disappear. It just hands them to someone who might be less careful than you are. So you keep making them. You try to be careful. You don't always manage it. You lie awake some nights replaying a 5-minute conversation. The wrong tone, the wrong word, to the wrong person, and somewhere, someone's options got a little smaller because of it. You're surrounded, almost entirely now, by people whose job, officially or not, is to make you feel confident, capable, and right. You know this. You've hired some of them yourself. You try to keep at least one person close who'll tell you the truth anyway, and you pay that person well, even when you don't take their advice. And here, finally, is the thing you didn't see coming from any of the lower floors. You climbed for the view. For the room to stop going quiet when you walked in. For the names to start meaning something. For the money to stop being a daily calculation. For your decisions to actually move something. You got all of it. And now you can't put any of it down. The calendar isn't yours. The image isn't fully yours. The people who knew you before all this are mostly still living the lives you used to live, and you can't go back to that life even if you wanted to, because too much now depends on you not going anywhere. The cubicle you used to sit in, unnoticed, 3 likes on a photo, nobody at the bakery remembering your face, somewhere along the way, without a single moment you could point to, that ordinary invisibility turned into something you'd give quite a lot to feel again, even just for a weekend. But the structure doesn't have an exit built into it. Only more floors. Tonight, somewhere, a 31-year-old is sitting at a small kitchen table, scrolling past photos of people who seem to be living bigger lives, wondering what they did differently. Wondering if there's a door they haven't found yet. They have no idea what's actually on the other side of it. They'll find out, or they won't. Either way, the building keeps adding floors.